Know the Gods, discussion of the gods from all pantheons across history.
Morrigan, Irish-Celtic pantheon mythology. The Morrigan is one of the most powerful and complex goddesses of the Irish-Celtic mythic world. She is associated with the Tuatha Dé Danann, war, fate, sovereignty, prophecy, death, battle frenzy, shape-shifting, and the terrifying intelligence of the battlefield. Her name is often interpreted as Great Queen or Phantom Queen. Both meanings fit her mythic presence. She is queenly, sovereign, and immense, but also spectral, ominous, and difficult to grasp. She is not merely a goddess of violence. She is the power that sees the fate of violence before it arrives. The Morrigan appears both as a single goddess and as part of a group or triad. In some traditions, she is linked with Badb, Macha, and Nemain. In others, the groupings shift. The older Irish material does not always systematize her neatly. She is fluid, multiple, and shape-shifting by nature. Sources commonly associate her with war, fate, prophecy, and the crow or raven of battle. In the Second Battle of Tuired, she joins the Tuatha Dé Danann against the Fomorians. Before the battle, she meets the Dagger at Samhain, and afterwards she promises magical aid against the enemies of the Tuatha Dé. The text presents her as a battle power, prophetic force, and magical ally in the struggle against oppression and chaos. She also appears in the Ulster Cycle, especially in relation to Cú Chulainn. She confronts him, tests him, warns him, attacks him in animal forms, and foretells his death. Her role there is not simply villainous. She is fate made personal. She is the dark feminine power that the hero cannot evade. The Morrigan is often associated with the crow or raven, battlefield omens, blood, rivers, cattle, sovereignty, and the terrifying threshold between life and death. She is the goddess who appears when the field is about to change forever. Depth psychology profile. Psychologically, the Morrigan represents the part of the psyche that knows when a false life must die. She is not gentle transformation. She is the intelligence of rupture, crisis, confrontation, and fate. She appears when the ego can no longer avoid the battlefield it has been circling. Her presence often feels like dread, but her function is not merely destructive. She reveals what is already doomed, what is already hollow, what cannot survive the next stage of truth. In depth psychology, she belongs to the shadow, but she is not only shadow. She is the dark initiator, the force that makes the unconscious visible through conflict. She shows where power has been denied, where rage has been buried, where sovereignty has been surrendered, and where fear has become a ruler. Her relationship with Cú Chulainn shows the psyche's dangerous encounter with the rejected feminine, the rejected instinct, or the rejected prophetic voice. When the heroic ego refuses to recognize her, she becomes adversarial. What is not honoured inwardly returns as fate outwardly. The Morrigan teaches that death is not always physical. Sometimes what dies is an identity, a delusion, a loyalty, a role, a relationship to power, or an old form of selfhood. Archetypal psychology profile. Archetypally, the Morrigan is the battle queen, the raven of fate, the dark sovereign, the prophetess of death, and the chooser of the field. She is the goddess who stands over conflict and sees the pattern before the warriors understand it. She does not belong to sentimental morality. She belongs to necessity. Her world is the battlefield, the river, the omen, the cry of birds, the red water, the washing of garments, the moment before destiny descends. As an archetype, she is close to the Valkyrie, the Fury, the Death Maiden, the Dark Mother, the Witch Prophetess, and the Sovereignty Goddess. But she is distinctly Irish in her fusion of war, land, fate, sexuality, shape-shifting, and kingship. The Morrigan is also an archetype of sovereignty under threat. She does not merely delight in battle, she guards the deep law of the land. When the land is violated, when rightful order collapses, when kingship is false, when courage is demanded, she rises. She is the archetype of sacred terror, the fear that awakens truth. Hermetic profile. Hermetically, the Morrigan expresses polarity in its most severe form: life and death, victory and ruin, sovereignty and subjugation, desire and destruction, prophecy and inevitability. She is also a figure of vibration, but not as gentle harmony. Her vibration is the battle cry, the raven call, the omen that changes the field. She alters consciousness through fear, urgency, and the sudden knowledge that the moment has become irreversible. Alchemically, she is the blackening force of Negredo. She brings the soul into the dark matter where old forms rot, masks fall away, and hidden power rises. Her medicine is not comfort. Her medicine is confrontation with what is real. Her shape-shifting expresses the hermetic principle that one force can appear through many forms. Woman, crow, eel, wolf, heifer, queen, hag, lover, enemy, prophetess. The forms change, but the current remains the same. Hermetically, the Morrigan is the occult intelligence of crisis. She is the law that says transformation becomes unavoidable when the old structure has betrayed life. Astrology, astropsychology significance. Mytho-astrologically, the Morrigan belongs to the dark celestial field of fate, death, crisis, omen, and fierce sovereignty. She carries a martial current, battle, courage, blood, danger, sharp instinct, and the will to confront what threatens life. But this martial force is not simple aggression. It is strategic, prophetic, and bound to destiny. She also carries a lunar underworld current, night vision, shape-shifting, dream terror, instinctive knowing, the cry of birds, and the hidden knowledge of endings. Her darkness is not emptiness. It is the fertile blackness where power returns from beneath the surface. There is a plutonic quality in her mythic field, death and rebirth, compulsion, shadow, taboo, psychic intensity, and the stripping away of false power. She is the celestial image of the battlefield as initiation. As an astro-psychological pattern, the Morrigan is the moment when the soul stops negotiating with what must end. She is the omen before the break, the raven above the field, the voice that says the old form cannot carry you further. Shadow expression. The shadow of the Morrigan appears as destruction without wisdom. In this form, she becomes intoxication with crisis, domination through fear, cruelty disguised as truth, or the need to constantly provoke battle. Person may identify with being dangerous, untouchable, prophetic, or dark, while avoiding vulnerability and responsibility. Another shadow is fatalism. The Morrigan sees fate, but in distortion this becomes surrender to doom. Person may believe everything is already ruined, already cursed, already decided. Her shadow can also appear as unconscious rage. What has not been honoured becomes corrosive. Person may attack, test, punish, or sabotage others because their own sovereignty has been wounded. The shadow Morrigan says, "If I cannot be free, I will become the storm." Integrated expression. Integrated Morrigan is fierce sovereignty in service of truth. She gives the courage to face endings without collapse. She teaches the person to recognize omens, honor instinct, reclaim anger, and stand in the field of conflict without losing the soul. In mature form, the Morrigan is not cruelty. She is clear power. She does not create needless war, but she does not flee necessary battle. She knows when to speak, when to strike, when to withdraw, and when to let something die. Her integrated expression restores the sacred dignity of the dark feminine, not as evil, but as power, prophecy, protection, and transformation. She teaches that peace without sovereignty is submission, and love without truth becomes captivity. Key symbols: crow, raven, battlefield, blood, river, prophecy, sovereignty, battle cry, washer at the ford, kettle, wolf, eel, heifer, beer, redwater, Samhain, the dagger, Cú Chulainn, Badb, Macha, Nemain, fate, death, omen, shapeshifting, the dark queen, the land under threat, the cry before battle. Human personality type. Inner figure. The Morrigan appears as the warrior woman, the prophetess, the dark queen, the witch at the threshold, the battle strategist, the truth teller, the shadow mother, the one who sees the ending before others do. As an inner figure, she may arise when a person must reclaim power after fear, violation, betrayal, or self-abandonment. She comes when the soul has been too polite with what is destroying it. She may also appear as the inner voice that says no more. The Morrigan says, do not confuse peace with surrender. Do not confuse fear with prophecy. Stand where your soul can still belong to itself. Rituals. Contemplative use. The Morrigan can be contemplated when working with fear, rage, sovereignty, shadow, endings, confrontation, grief, protection, and the courage to face necessary change. A simple contemplative question: what in my life is already dead, but still demanding my obedience? Another: where has my anger been trying to return my sovereignty? Another: what battle am I avoiding because I know it will change me? A useful meditation image is to imagine standing on a misted battlefield before dawn. No armies move yet. A raven lands on a stone before you. It does not attack, it watches. In its black eye, you see the thing you have been avoiding. Then the raven cries once, and the whole field becomes honest.